Hello everyone, hope you're well. John here again with another video. Today we're going to be having a look at improvising using this funny thing. This is an acoustic guitar, not an electric guitar, strangely enough. And we're going to look at just jamming over one chord. Alright, so let's have a look. Alright, so the chord I'm going to use is this one here. Sounds like this. It's a cool chord. Now this is a B flat, kind of 11. And we're going to go to a little sus chord. Don't be scared of this. It's just another chord, really. Just got to learn the notes, just like any other chord. So this is the 6th fret on the low E, your little finger on the 6th fret of the D, your 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the G, and your 1st finger here on the 4th fret of the B. So the chord sounds like this. All right. Don't play that E. It's going to sound bad. And then you're going to move back with this 1st finger, a bit of a stretch that, so that goes back to the 3rd fret of the B. So you kind of have this. All right, and I'm doing a little chick there. I call it a chick or a scratch, whatever you want to call it. So right now, of course, this is a lesson in improvisation. So what I'm going to do is just loop that around a bit, and then we'll look at ways you can play over the top. So 3, 4. All right, so I'm looping that round. Let's just check that loop. Is that good? Not bad. Not the best loop in the world, but it'll do. Let me just stop that loop there for a sec. All right, so we have a B flat 11 chord going to a sus chord. Now this is a 7th chord, and if you remember from our lessons talking about different scales and stuff, this is a good way to think of this. There's a few different ways to think of this. If you were playing a scale over the top, it will be mixolydian. It will be this scale here. That's a mixolydian mode, which is the 5th mode from the major scale. All right, so I'm starting here. Let me just tell you what the scale is. I'm going to try and teach you this scale. So if you don't know this already, there's plenty of places on the internet you can learn it. It's 6, 8, 10 on the low E, 6, 8, 10 on the A, 6, 8, 10 on the D. All right, and what we're trying to do when we play over chords is we're trying to look at what notes is in them. All right, so if I play that scale, let me just start that loop, and I'll play that scale. All right, now that if I play that, it sounds like a scale, doesn't it? Which is all right. Let me stop that a sec. But we want something a bit more melodic. So this is what I do. I look at the notes in the chord. So what have we got? We've got a B flat. All right. And here we've got, that's the root, of course. You've got the 7th here, which is an A flat. You've got this note here, C, and this note here, which is an E flat. But we're going in our little chord progression. We're going to that D note, so that'll work as well. So you've got those 3 notes. So now, what I'm going to try and do is use a couple of things together. All right. So you can use the scale, but a lot of the times, as I say, the scale sounds a bit, kind of scaly, really. But the trick is, when you're playing with scales, try and land your phrases on the chord tones. So you've got a B flat, it's going to sound good to land on. And F is going to sound good to land on. All right, that's the 3rd of the scale. Sorry, that's the 5th of the scale. And the D is going to sound good to land on. That's that note there. and an E flat as well. But that kind of wants to go to the D there. So if you play the scale and you finish on one of those notes, so if we go, so there I kind of landed on a B flat and then an F. Let's try a D, shall we? B flat. So it's sounding a bit more musical now because we're landing on these notes, because otherwise if you don't, you're just going to be running up a scale, which sounds quite boring. Right, now the other thing you can do is you can think, what is the parent key of Mixolydian, of B flat Mixolydian? Well, it's the fifth of something, isn't it? So it is the fifth of E flat minor. All right, so E flat minor, E flat major is the kind of like the parent key. And then I think, what pentatonic could I use? Something I already know. What do I already know? What is the relative minor of E flat? That's C minor pentatonic. If you're not getting this, do feel free to ask questions, but there's tons of videos on this on the internet, so make sure you know your relative minors and you know your parent keys. So right, great. So C minor pentatonic. Let me play that in this position here. Right. So that's good. Now we can start kind of using a pentatonic scale, but also adding those notes from our B flat, from this B flat chord. So we've got B flat, D, F. All right. You can use that seventh as well. All right. So let me do that, and I'll play some phrases, just random phrases for you, and I'll try and finish on those chord tones to give you an idea. So here we go. So there I was kind of using the same ideas. I was playing the C minor pentatonic. But of course the chord we're playing is B flat, so we want to land on one of those B flat notes, which is a B flat, a D, an F. All right, now if I land on a C note, for example, it doesn't work, does it really? You want to resolve that, so that wants to go back to B flat. You can play with it a bit, so let me play a bit more and we'll just see what happens. All right, so let's start off simply. There I went chromatically up to the B flat. Okay, let's see what else we got. So there I was just playing that same C minor scale, that kind of stuff, but I was just adding in some chromatic notes, so just there's some gaps here, look, between that note and there, so we can go. So there I'm just kind of filling in the gaps there and finishing on one of the notes, one of the chord tones. Let me do that a bit more. definitely add some more chromatics. Still keeping in this same idea though. So I hope you can see that when I'm playing this, I'm really just landing on these chord tones, and as long as you land on the right one, you know, it sounds pretty good. If you can come up with a little theme, see if you can get a little idea and milk it. So. So I just came up with a little lick there, and I was finishing on that B flat, you know, the F or the B there. I'll expand it a bit. Alright, so I hope that gives you some ideas. A lot of things, problems come when you learn guitar. Someone shows you a scale, just like I just did this just then. I said do that, and then, you know, I'm not using that, am I? I'm off using somewhere else down here. But it's because you're mixing scales, you see. You're mixing minor scales, major scales. If you keep to one scale, you know, it's always going to sound a bit scalier, but you can make it more music, as I say, by more musical by landing on these chord tones. You can use a bit more technique, I guess. I'll stay in this position. Sorry about that, I overdubbed myself there, didn't mean to do that. Anyway, so you can kind of stay in that position. You can have those runs, but just finish on a chord tone. So yeah, I was just playing there around that scale, but finishing on one of those chord tones. So I know that's a B flat chord, and it's quite scary to us rock players, you know, but every chord is just the same. It's just another chord. I mean, even if you're playing an A chord and you're doing that, well, just look at what notes are in that A chord, and you do have to know your notes. You have to know. Knowing what fret isn't going to help you, all right? You know it's the second fret, but you don't know what note it is. That's not going to help much. So you have to learn your notes, so learn them. So an A chord, let's say you've got the notes A, C sharp, and E in this chord. And what's the relative minor of A? It's F sharp minor, isn't it? So when you're playing a phrase in something that you know, like your pentatonic, for example, you're just playing a phrase, something you know, pentatonic lick, and you're finishing on either an A note or a C sharp or an E, and it all sound good, you know. So, okay, that wasn't the greatest solo in the world, was it? Just something that sprang to mind. But it kind of helps you create phrases, because you're thinking, right, let me play the same phrase. That's what I basically did there. Played the same lick, but finished on each of the notes in turn, you know. So, so let's think of a really simple lick. So there we go. Finishing on the A. At the end, I went to the C sharp, same lick, C sharp, and then at the end I went E to the A, so it's there. So you're kind of starting with something that you know, but then you're going away from it. Add your chromatic notes. All right, so have some fun with that. Just take one chord at a time and you just build up slowly and slowly. So have some fun with that. I'll see you in the next episode.